Lumber Tycoon 2, a game that has pioneered the tycoon genre, bringing up concepts never heard of before. Since the start of its development to today, the game has changed and morphed into a classic building simulator where only your creativity limits you. This is the complete history of Lumber Tycoon 2, from 2015 to 2025. Tycoons are a staple of Roblox. These games, some simple, some complex, have a few shared principles. Earn money, build your base, repeat. However, early tycoons on Roblox were all bland, considering all you had to do to earn money was wait. Defaultio wanted to change this. He wanted the player to earn money based on the work that they put into it, not by waiting around for the money to come to you. In 2008, Defaultio published Lumber Tycoon, a simple yet innovative game about chopping wood. With the idea originally derived from his mother, Lumber Tycoon was a very successful game at the time. However, Defaultio created Lumber Tycoon as a thrill, and he never planned to do anything else with it. That was until the incubator program. This program was a 2-month-long development process in which prodigious developers would create an original game. Defaultio was among these hand-selected individuals, and his idea was to remake Lumber Tycoon, but this time, it would be even better. The main issue with Lumber Tycoon was the lack of creativity. Most tycoon games in this era would be abandoned after completion. You join, AFK, build, and then leave, never to return again. Defaultio wanted to change this. He wanted a game where the player could express themselves. He wanted a game that people would return to. So that's exactly what he made. After getting a green light, Defaultio began to work on Lumber Tycoon 2, his biggest project yet. In the long-awaited sequel to Lumber Tycoon, building would be a major aspect. Rather than just clicking buttons to assemble pre-built structures, Defaultio wanted a custom placing system where the player could decide where to build and what material to build with. After only a couple weeks of development, Lumber Tycoon 2 was released to the public with pre-alpha testing. During this period, Lumber Tycoon 2 was just named Test, and very few players knew about its existence. One of these players was LiQWYD, who would go on to create one of the most notorious bases in the history of the game. Many other loyal players at the time recommended ideas to Defaultio, the most notable of which being glass panes, a commonly used building material today. As pre-alpha testing ended, Defaultio added a title and thumbnail to the game, and within the first day of these additions, Lumber Tycoon 2 was shot up to the top spot on Roblox. With the game's unique building and collecting mechanics, the only place to go was up. After clicking onto the game page, you are immediately greeted with images of a classic base. This building, made by LiQWYD from oak, cherry, and elm, is the most recognized base ever built. Epic first found the game in early alpha when the game only held some axes and trees on a desolate base plate. As Epic started to progress in the game, he soon started construction on his famous base. And with the wood mill as his inspiration, Epic designed a simple house with emphasis on productivity. In later versions of this iconic build, he also used logic to further improve the base. These logical systems include easy sawmill resizing, lamp controls, and wood dumpers to quickly load a car. However, Epic is not only known for his base, but also for all of his commitments to the development of the game. Epic, alongside other few testers, would constantly report bugs and suggest new features, one of which is the conveyor sweeper, a commonly used accessory to help with wood storage. As days went by, more people found out about the game, and Defaultio was almost ready to push the game into beta. Defaultio had made a rendering of Epic's base, however, it did not import with colors or textures, so Defaultio had to manually add them. And this is what caused the game's original thumbnails to look off. In 2023, when Applepie redid the game's thumbnails, he correctly colored in Epic's base, swapping out the elmwood roofs for the gold, which was thought to have been the original color. After the game entered beta, things started to pick up. Tons of players flocked to try out this new tycoon. YouTubers rushed to make starter guides and informational videos. This was the start of Lumber Tycoon 2's Uprising. Beta testing was a very influential period of the game, with the addition of notable features like Spook and Sinisterwood and seasonal updates. The first of these updates included the pumpkin in October, and this was followed by gifts in December. However, this was only the start of major updates, and Defaultio had a lot more planned. After months of waiting, the biggest update to this day finally arrived, the January Mega Update. This massive update included the Tropics biome, the maze, the safari hole, the Taiga passage, and 3 new trees, Koa, Palm, and Cave Crawler. This update brought in tons of new players, with everyone wanting to visit the new island and find the new trees. As the game's official release came closer, Defaultio added in the fine art shop, trailers, and most importantly, logical components. In June of 2016, the Beta Axe was replaced with the Silver Axe, marking the official release of Lumber Tycoon 2. Over the next few months, Defaultio kept updating the game, adding things like neon wires, the End Times Axe, and the Lone Cave, along with more wedge variants and the start of Thanksgiving updates with the turkey, and even more Christmas gifts. As 2017 rolled around, Lumber Tycoon 2 had its first major event, the 2017 Winter Games. The Winter Games event brought a new tree type to the game, Glowing Fir. It also brought a new cabin and bin in which players had to fill up in order to earn a badge and a ski pack accessory. Around this time, Defaultio stopped pumping out updates and started to work on new projects like Test 2. Most people recall this era as the peak of Lumber Tycoon 2, with constant updates, little exploiters, and a stable economy. Sadly, this was all about to change. As mid-2017 came and passed, the only major updates were the addition of a new, larger sawmill, the power to build with ease, and the continued seasonal events. Around this time, many Lumber Tycoon 2 exploits also surfaced, including item and money dupes, item moving, and more. These exploits slowly destabilized the economy, causing players to end up with millions of dollars, something that should have only been possible by grinding. As Lumber Tycoon 2 entered 2018, the exploiter problems were too big for Defaultio to fix, thus demotivating further work on the game. During this period, Defaultio started to focus on his new game, Test 2. The game, still in closed testing at this state, was going to be another take at a non-linear sandbox game. However, Lumber updates didn't completely stop, as in May of 2018, the Taiga passage was finally completed with a new biome and new trees. This update hyped many old builders to get back into the game, and the new icy mechanics that this tree brought motivated logical players to come back too. Some other notable updates in 2018 was the addition of 2 new building slots and tons of gifts. Defaultio really went crazy this year, adding in 3 Halloween items compared to the usual 1, 2 new Thanksgiving items, and 10 new gifts. This period also saw the Beesmas 2018 event containing a flower quest and a new super powerful axe, which remains the best axe to this day. 2019 and 2020 did not include many updates, the notable ones being the bird axe, game passes, and a new logical item, the clock switch. As exploiters ramped up, Defaultio spent most of his time on the newly released Test 2. Lumber Tycoon 2 was deserted, but not abandoned. The 2020s started off pretty rough for Lumber Tycoon 2, with 2021 only having 3 changelog entries, the lowest ever up until this point. While the updates in 2021 were scarce, they were quite good, including the long-awaited multi-buy feature and a much-needed reduction in fog. However, due to the general lack of updates from 2019 onward, players had much lower expectations going into 2022. As a result, no one expected what would later be referred to as the Great Patch, a series of almost daily updates beginning in mid-June that introduced numerous quality of life changes and exploit patches. Notable changes during this time included the addition of Hold to Chop, Instant Server Initialization, and the Settings tab. Also, during this time, leaks of a brand new biome and new logical items began to circulate in the community. While it is unknown if these leaks were real, they did generate a ton of hype during this period, and the community was excited to see what Defaultio would do next. After the great patch, update frequency returned to normal, with Test 2's updates also reaching a standstill. 2023 continued the trend seen in 2021 with a few sparse yet good updates, including human moderation, refreshed thumbnails, and blue spruce. In 2023, Lumber Tycoon 2 also hit 1 billion visits, which is a huge milestone. 2024 began quite well, with Lumber Tycoon 2 taking part in the Hunt First Edition, in which Defaultio added a new NPC and egg item. Unfortunately, the rest of 2024 did not go as well, with there being no updates outside of seasonal items and the addition of an ad board. In fact, 2024 had 0 changelog entries, making it the only year to never have one. Now we arrive at 2025, where there's currently been only one update, that being the new collision permission. And as of making this video, it has been 10 years since the start of Lumber Tycoon 2's development, making the game officially a decade old. Despite not receiving any major content updates since 2018, Lumber Tycoon 2 remains pretty constant in both its player count and community. Thousands of concurrent players still play the game, and even though exploiters are an ongoing issue, human moderation and Roblox's newer anti-cheat measures have improved the situation. As for the future of Lumber Tycoon 2, there really isn't one. As long as the game is still working, people will still play it, and hopefully we'll get something for the game's 10th anniversary. And while Defaultio has no major updates planned, he still might pop in and update the game from time to time, we just have to wait. As for Test 2, its updates have seemed to pretty much halt, and with Defaultio only rarely being online, its future remains very uncertain. There are many questions still to be answered, but for now, we're just gonna have to wait. Anyways, that's going to be the end of this updated history video. It's crazy that Lumber Tycoon 2 has been around for 10 years now, and I'm sure it will continue to be around for many years in the future. I want to give a huge thank you to everyone whose footage I use, and I will link all of their YouTube channels in the description down below. I also want to thank Defaultio for answering all of my initial questions and giving me a ton of photos, along with LiQWYD, who allowed me to visit his base again to get the new footage for this video. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye!